Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name's Kevin, and today we're going to be doing the Asus DirectCu2 GTX780ti from NVIDIA against the Asus DirectCu2 R9 290X from AMD. So this will be quite interesting. Exact same cooler, obviously different GPUs. Now before we get any further and everybody flips out, I am aware, as you guys know from all my testing, that the DirectCu2 cooler on the AMD cards doesn't work that well, and it can cause problems. This I am aware of, and you'll see as we talk about it a bit later why that is. And in my previous reviews of DirectCu2 coolers, like on the 290 and stuff, I have made this so clear to you that it isn't a good cooler for the AMD cards, and we will discuss that just in a minute. However, when it comes to this 290X, it did not thermal throttle it. It did get hot, so it didn't cool anywhere near what it should be. However, it did not thermal throttle the 290X, which means that the performance was exactly what it should be. It was just getting a bit hot. This is evident if you go back and watch my reference 290X video against the Asus DirectCu2 290X video, and you'll be able to see the difference between the two. So obviously the 290X and the DirectCu2 wasn't thermal throttling, and I can confirm this. So with that being said, let's get into the coolers themselves. So they're exactly the same. The controversy comes from the fact that the die sizes are different on the NVIDIA side compared to AMD's side. Obviously two completely different GPUs. And what Asus did is they took the DirectCu2 cooler straight off the 780 and put it on the 290X. Where this goes wrong is that the die size is different. So only 3 of the 5 heat pipes are actually touching the GPU on the 290X, which obviously diminishes the cooling quite substantially. That being said, once again, it did not cause this one to thermal throttle, so it was performing at 100% what it could. Now, it also features, well, it's direct copper, hence the name, on the GPU, and has 5 heat pipes. They've got a big one coming out the top, a big 10mm one. It's a 2-fan design, normal fan at the back, bit different, hybrid fan at the front, Cooltech fan. How this works is it will put the air through the GPU like normal, like a normal fan would. But it's also kind of like a blower fan, so it'll help exhaust some of that air out the back of your case so you don't have hot air in your system. So that's good as well. It also comes with upgraded components like the super alloy power and other things like that. So it is a good cooler in essence. Just wasn't that good that they transferred it straight over. But these are exactly the same. There's no difference between them. However, there is a difference in the GPUs, obviously. So for the GTX780ti, it's a GK110 chip, fully fledged. And that's taking on a fully fledged Hawaii GPU in the 290X. So the 290 has a slightly cut down, 5-10% cut down version of the Hawaii chip. The 290X does not. It's fully there. Speeds are also different. So we have to talk about GPU Boost 2.0, which is on the GTX780ti. So what that means is that even though this DirectCu2 780ti is rated to only boost up to 928 MHz, which is the reference. With GPU Boost 2.0, it'll kind of like auto overclock when its temperatures allow. So this one I had went up to 1094 MHz boosting up, and they do that automatically. My reference 780ti also said 928 MHz boost, but it used to go up to 1020 just by itself. Now some people are saying this is unfair because the NVIDIA cards auto overclocking and the AMD ones won't. But why would you clock them the same? No one's going to get a GTX 780ti and turn off GPU Boost 2.0 unless they're going to overclock it further. But they're not going to be putting it down at all. I haven't heard of anybody doing that. So why would I change it? And with these two cards, 1094 MHz on the GTX 780ti and 1050 on the 290X, there's so little difference that honestly, on the grand scheme of things, it's going to make no difference. Negligible. Within the margin of error difference in terms of performance. So people complaining about that, just forget it. It's no one's going to turn it off, and it wouldn't even matter if I clocked these exactly the same. You would see maybe I don't know, 0.25 difference frames per second average or something like that. It would be very, very small. So that's not a problem. So yeah, so 1094 MHz for the 780 Ti DirectCu2, 1050 for the DirectCu2 290X, so a little bit of a difference there in favor of, well, 44 extra for the 780 Ti. Now onto memory. So the 780 Ti has 3 gigabytes GDDR5, obviously, on a 384-bit memory bus, whereas the 290X has 4 gigabytes on a 512-bit memory bus. So a bit of an advantage there for the 290X, more memory, can flow it a bit better. However, the memory speeds are a different story. The 780 Ti has its reference memory speed, 7000 megahertz, which is really honking, compared to the 5400 megahertz of the Asus DirectCu2, which is a bump up from the reference 5000. Obviously, that's it kind of like balances out the fact that it's a 512-bit memory bus versus a 384-bit memory bus. So you just have to keep that in mind. Now, let's get into the benchmarks then and see how these cards do. Now, once again, I just need to say that the 290X was not thermal throttling at all, so this is 100% what it could give, every last drop. So, up first we have Firmarks. This is 1080p, 4 times MSAA, and I run it for 15 minutes. The Asus DirectCu2 R9 290X scored 36 frames per second average. The Asus DirectCu2 780ti scored 56 frames per second average. So it just ran away with that one. Once again, if you think that 44 megahertz is going to make a difference, it's not going to make anywhere close what the difference between these two cards are. You guys seem to forget how powerful 780Ti's are. Now, next one, Unigine Valley. This is on the Extreme HD preset. The Asus R9 290X DirectCu2 scored 62.7 frames per second average. The DC2 GTX780ti from the video scored 71.4 frames per second average. So yeah, about 9 frames there for the 780ti. Now onto Unigine Heaven. This is 4.0, DirectX 11, everything maxed out, all the filters, everything. The R9 290X DC2 scored 55.9 frames per second average. The 780ti DC2 scored 62.9 frames per second average. So another big jump there for the 780ti. Now, Heaven again, everything maxed out, but this time in OpenGL. The R9 290X DirectCu2 scored 40 frames per second flat. The GTX780ti DirectCu2 scored 58 frames per second flat. So, yeah, that's a big jump there in OpenGL. 18 frames is that? Yeah, for the 780ti. Now onto some games. This is where it counts. So, Tomb Raider. This is 1080p, everything maxed out without VSync. The R9 290X from Asus, the DirectCu2, scored 85.2 frames per second average. The DirectCu2 780ti, also from Asus, scored 94.2 frames per second. So almost 10 frame jump there. Well, perfectly 9 actually. Yeah, so another 9 frame jump. And then finally, Bioshock Infinite. This is on user setting 2. The DirectCu2 290X scored 97.8 frames per second. The DirectCu2 780ti scored 128.5 frames per second. So, what do we know from these benchmarks? Well, I've told you guys before, but a lot of you seem to think that the 290X is close to the 780ti. It's just not. Yeah. I mean, the 780ti is so powerful of a card. Now, these were all done at 1080p, remember. And I am aware, because I have tested cards, 1440p, 4K and stuff like that, that these margins do get narrower as resolutions increase. I am aware of this. But a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, game at 1080p. A lot more than the people that game at 1440p or 4K, obviously. Not many people actually game at 4K right now. That'll probably change in the future though. So yeah, so right now that's the difference with 1080p, and that's what most people game at, and probably what most of you guys are running. So now let's get into heat. So both of these cards get pretty hot. A lot of people are aware the 290X gets quite toasty, but it has to be said, the 780 Ti does get up there too. Not as hot, but it's still, you know, fairly hot compared to other cards, compared to other GPUs. So in Firmark, that was my test, 15 minutes at 1080p, 4 times MSA. The R9 290X DirectCu2 went all the way up to 92 degrees Celsius. Now remember, the thermal limit of both of these cards is 95. But the 290X will start throttling at 94. So 92 was the highest it went to, and there was no thermal throttling. The Asus DirectCu2 GTX780 Ti, on the other hand, went to 83 degrees Celsius. So quite a bit colder, 9 degrees colder in fact. So yeah, that is a good amount. That gives you a lot more thermal headroom, obviously, to overclock. I also took the highest temperature I saw during the Heaven benchmark. This was the DirectX 11 with everything maxed out. The 290X DirectCu2 went to 80 degrees Celsius, and the 780 Ti DirectCu2 went to 75 degrees Celsius. So a little bit of a difference there. There was also a difference in the fan speed during the Firmark testing. The 290X DirectCu2 went to 60% fan speed, which is decent, I guess. But it was really hot, so maybe it's like if you could adjust the fan curve a little bit more, it might bring it down. Whereas the 780 Ti, which went to 83 degrees, remember, only went to 74% fan speed. So 14% higher fan speed on the 780 Ti. So cooler temperatures but slightly higher fan speed. It'll be how their fan curves are set up. So you could easily bring the DirectCu2 up to have a more aggressive fan curve. That leads us to noise. So both of these cards are completely silent at idle. Very, very quiet. However, on load, they're both, yeah, pretty good. I'd say they're definitely not noisy at all. Definitely not. But as far as which one's noisier than the other, I'd say probably just due to how these fan curves work, the 290X is slightly quieter, maybe just a little bit, than the 780 Ti. But I'll let you judge for yourself. So this is what the 290X DirectCu2 sounds like at idle. And this is what the DirectCu2 780 Ti sounds like at idle. And this is what they sound like on load, and this is during the Unigine Valley Extreme HD benchmark. So this is what the 290X DirectCu2 sounds like on load. And this is what the 780 Ti DirectCu2 sounds like on load. So yeah, a bit of a difference there, not much, nothing I don't think you'd notice, but yeah, comparing them, the 780 Ti DirectCu2 is ever so slightly louder, but nothing I don't think that'll bother anyone, and that was done in the exact same test, so yeah. So in conclusion, who wins this one? Well, obviously performance-wise, heat-wise, and they're pretty much the same noise-wise. It's the 780 Ti DirectCu2. It just has to be said. The 780 Ti is so powerful. However, when we take into consideration the price difference, which it is getting closer between these cards, at least what I've seen, it's a bit harder to say. Again, it's where you, the consumer, decides. Now, I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's informative. I really try bringing you guys good videos. I'm sorry they haven't been coming out as frequently lately. I haven't been feeling that good lately physically, but I still try bringing you guys out a video at least within every 3 to 4 days. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you guys next time on Tech Showdown.